We begin today's recording by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are on. I am on Burrawang land. Where are you, Breezer?
I am on the land of the Djajarurrung people.
We pay our respects to the elders past and present and extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who are tuning in today.
And wherever you're listening to the potty today, make sure you know whose land you're on. Join us each week for some booze-free banter about life without booze.
If you're entertaining cutting back your booze by a day, a week, a month, or for the rest of your life, we would love for you to tune in.
Buckle up and come along for a ride that may just change your life. If any of today's conversations have been triggering, please reach out to your local support centre in Australia. That is Lifeline 131114. Let's crack a can, shall we, Meso?
Let's crack it.
What do we crack-a-lacking today?
Sangria.
We are cracking into the Altina. I've got the Levy and Rose. You've got the Sangria.
Oh, I love it so much.
Love it. Altina are so generous. They do support our podcast. They have a range of amazing non-alcoholic wines. We love them. They come in bottles and cans. So versatile. Take it to your picnic. Have it at a dinner party. Choose your own adventure. Get amongst it. And they have been super generous in giving our listeners a discount code, what is it, Meso?
It's BFB10, which will get you 10% off their range when you visit www.altinadrinks.com. Get amongst it.
Get amongst it. We love you, Altina. Thank you.
Love ya.
Hey everybody, this is Eric here, your friendly neighborhood podcast producer with a quick heads up before we get into some booze-free banter. Our guest today had a bit of a rogue microphone that would every now and again rub against his shirt, causing a little bit of extra noise. I've done my best to clean it up, so I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Meso!
Razor!
I just did like an Elvis Presley thing then when I was saying that. I had a massive wind up. All our YouTube listeners just, yeah. How's that arm action going on?
And I was going for the goals.
Yeah.
Because, which is quite fitting, because who did we just have on?
We just had a VFL/AFL absolute legend, Jimmy Buckley. What a gun. Actually, do you know what, May? So I forgot to say in the potty how I came across Jimmy and he's not drinking. So can I quickly share that now?
Yeah.
So how's this? How is this in the bloody, how the universe works? I was fanging down the road to pick up the kids because I was late for school pickup, as you do. And I think it's a rush hour with James Brayshaw and Billy Brownless. So I had that on. And literally I had it on, like I must have been going between radios or podcasts or whatever. And I literally just had this snippet of their show for probably 30 seconds. And I heard Billy Brownless just say, oh, yeah, he was talking about a function he was at. And I literally heard him say, oh, yeah, but Big Jim doesn't drink anymore. And I was like, who are they talking about? And so then, a little meerkat. So then I turned up the volume and they were still chatting. And then eventually they said, Jimmy Buckley. So then I get onto the internet, Jim Buckley, oh my God, superstar, played for Carlton. And then just started deep diving into his story. And that's how it came about, Meso. And then I went to a contact in Bendigo that he just knows people. And I'm like, hey, and we mentioned him in the podcast. I'm like, Bakes. I said, do you know Jimmy Buckley? And he's like, yeah. He goes, yeah, no, I'm a great bloke, cracking fella. I can get his details for you. So that's how it came about.
I love
and how good is that? And then Jimmy was so open to it. And we were supposed to chat to him. I think it was last July. We were all set to go, but didn't happen for whatever reason. Yeah. And so we've just sort of been he's been on our radar. Yeah. And then obviously the Herald Sun article dropped a few weeks ago and I read it and I was like, right, I need to circle back to Jimmy. And so, we got there in the end. And I'm so glad that we persisted because my goodness, he, what a story, Meso, and his honesty and vulnerability, something about a man in his 60s being so vulnerable, isn't there, mate?
I've got goosebumps. He's got purpose now.
Oh, yep.
And that's, he's sharing his story to help others. And that's what we're all about here. If we help one person, our job is done. That's incredible. And it takes a hell of a lot of courage because that burly, gruff, don't cry, don't show your feelings, what is mental health, toughen up, that era, to break down that stigma people listen. The bloke's going to listen and they will open up, and it's just going to help so many. The ripple effect of this podcast is just, it's incredible.
That's massive, isn't
we're
it?
so grateful for him coming on, and Dill for lending his studio.
Yeah. Yes, Dill stepped in to help out the technical side of things. So we do appreciate you. Well done, Dill. Thank you to make this podcast happen.
For listeners, Dylan is obviously Jimmy's son, Dill and Friends podcast. It's a massive podcast. Get your ears around that as well. A little plug for them. Oh, cracking
Potty. And actually, I listened to, I think it was an episode, it was a Imperfects / Dylan Friends episode.
Yeah, smash up.
Yeah. And it was, you'll have to go back to, we might actually pop it in our show notes.
Yeah.
Because it's a really important potty to listen to, because Dylan shares his side of the story, a little bit of how he approached his dad, Jimmy, and had those conversations with him to address his drinking. So, yeah, it was great to hear. It's great to hear both sides of the story, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. So, yeah. Oh,
what do you reckon, Maso? Should we bring him in?
Yeah, incredible. Let's do it.
Let's bring him in. Jimmy Buckley, get amongst it. A big, warm, booze-free Bants welcome to absolute sporting legend, Carlton great, Jimmy Buckley. Jimmy, welcome to the potty.
Welcome, Jimmy.
Thank you very much, girls. Great to be on. I've let you down a couple of times, but we finally got here.
It's been a bit of a work in progress, but good things come to those who wait. So here we are. We're looking forward to our chat today. So thanks for joining us, Jimmy. We really appreciate you being so generous with your time. Now, we are going to get straight into it today. So we give our guests the opportunity to share a shame story or confession sessions.
You gotta have shame on your name. Shame on your name.
How long do you want it to go?
I was going to say now, Jimmy, we're on a time limit.
Oh, please, you give me an open option here.
We're here for
Oh,
it.
look, it's where would I start? Look, the biggest thing about with us, when we're playing football, and that is, as you know, it's a team game. We're very cultured down at Carlton when I went down there. We're very cultured down there, and our culture was to have a drink, after we'd trained hard or especially played hard on a Saturday. And that. But as far as going, the shame one, I don't know where to start there, to tell you the truth. But there's a number of things in that chip. I was very bad on the Scotch. If I ever got on the Scotch or spirits, they reckon my eyebrows went down, and then it was sort of time to get away from me.
Oh.
And a nasty streak came out of me there, and plenty ran into that, but no one was hurt over it. But it was just the spirits were no good for me. Not to say the beer was that much good for me either, but the spirits were very, very no go for me. And people used to just spread, and I'd have no one really drinking with me. I would just be drinking on my own at the time.
Oh.
But that's only one of many. When you're on the drink, it was part of our life. A big part of our life. Our mateship, our comradeship, and all that. But there was a lot of breakdowns from the drink, and it's not only me. It was everyone had their own, their bad times on the drink.
Yeah. I wonder what it was about spirits that just didn't agree with you, Jimmy.
Yeah, well, it was a continuous. It must be the alcohol level of it, and if you have, I don't know if you've ever had a really good, I say, gut full of spirits. Well, you're still pissed the next day, Now you've got to have a glass of water and shake you up again and you're back into it. Unless when we're training, it was all right because we're going doing a strenuous training and you're getting it out of your body. But when you're later in life, when you're not doing that, it just sits there and it tops up the next day and you only got a half a dozen beers and you're back on the piss again,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bundy rum for me was
that.
no good.
No.
It's quite common that when you see, I've had friends, when you can see that look in their eye, they just turn and you just know they've gone. They've turned aggressive. You just know they're not coming back. And in fact, I used to turn a bit aggressive too on the booze too. Can't remember what my poison was. It turned me wild. Probably rosé rage, I think. After 3 bottles of rosé, well, I'd get ragey. So can relate.
Yeah, I know. So the alcohol content in some of that Scotch is pretty high, and after you've had a number of beers and that, you turn to that, and I used to just snap. You know what I mean? If I liked the people there, I was no problem at all. But if anyone had gone out of their angle give me a hard time, which I thought was a hard time, while they were in the firing line.
Look out.
Give them a clip.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Jimmy.
Now and then.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Can you tell us, so your professional AFL career spanned from, was it 1976 to 1990, which is massive. What did your drinking look like during that time?
I'll just give you, I'll give you a rundown of what we used to do. Like, we'd train on a Monday night. It's like a training session, just to tone you up a little bit. If you got any small injuries from the weekend, they'd look at them or treat them, and they'd go for about hour and a half, just depends how much injuries are bad, how bad the injuries were. Then we'd sort of wander on down a place called Norton's down in Royal Parade. There's a local pub down there we used to go to, and obviously there's about 10 or 20 of us who wanted to go down there, and it's a bit of a bonding, you know what I mean? Go down and have a few beers, get your weekend woes out of the way, have a chat to each other. This was part of our ritual, which made us such a pretty close club in those days. And after that, they'd go home after about 8 or 9 beers, and some of us, the older guys, the more single guys, would sort of venture on out to a low rating nightclub or something like that. And
retro.
down at the Grosvenor, down on St Kilda Road, or Billboard, or one of those ones where we could have a few more beers and relax and have a chat and see a few of the sights. But then on a Tuesday we'd come back and train, have our main training run, fairly hard and decent, like a fairly hard run. And we're going, about half of us was going to have a quick couple of 6 beers and go home. And Wednesday was to Thursday, Friday was no beer involved there, and then the Saturday'd start. Then Saturday night we'll go out together after. Very, very close we were in that era. That's why half the problem was, or not half the problem, was a really great problem that we had. Not a problem, but saying it was really great that we went out together.
Yeah. And
we really respected each other's company, and our wives and the girlfriends and partners and all of that stuff all were alluded into that situation. So it's pretty close. And that's what you got to have when you're going to get a great side like that. But we partied hard. There's no doubt about that. We'd go to the races sometimes during the week, but we did the hard work also.
Yeah.
A lot of it was jealousy in our way, because we'd won 3 premierships in 4 years, and no one could cotton on to how we could drink so much and still be successful, especially David Parkin.
Maybe that's a winning formula. But it sounds like it was a really good time. You had a really, really good memories.
Well, it was a good time. It was a good time. It's like, we enjoyed it. As I said, we enjoyed each other's company immensely, and we were successful. That was even better.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys, it's hard work. It's hard work winning premierships. It's a big, big game. Aussie rules, or the AFL, what it is now, and it's a massive business. If you can go through there and win the ultimate, like the Super Bowl, well, it's not so much monetary wise that it has now, but it was just a prestige and the respect and the accolades you got for winning it. Plus you're all getting into the Hall of Fame at Carlton and that type of stuff, which all your family's very, very proud of you.
So you're all running off that buzz. You were just all on that high and just bringing each other along the whole time. What were you going to say, Breezer?
I was just going to say, what a time to be alive. It sounds like you guys had a really special bond, and it's socially accepted, as it still is today, but even more so back then. It's socially accepted that when you're catching up, you just got a beer in your hand. That's how you do it.
Yeah, look, and one of the other things I said to the president the other night, the new president, I said, they're talking about they just spent $55 million on the club down there. It's a massive overhaul of all the facilities, it's got a whole football ground down there, simulates into the other grounds. It's got more weights into the gym you ever seen your whole life.
Wow.
It's got everything possible, pools, bang, 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 whatever you need. And that's there for the women and the men. But the biggest thing is about, I said, you should have a room upstairs where they can go up after their games and have a talk, because we used to have in the old days it was called Nicky's nightclub. That was when Big Nick was around, probably before your girls were even born. But he's one of the greatest footballers ever. But it was like a room where we went up and had our own private, just the players and their wives.
Yeah.
And it was Nicky's, then it was Jez's Jive. More grand finals were won up there, and more bondship was done up there than anywhere in the whole football club.
Yeah.
And they should have that one and give those kids or give those guys and a room where they can go and have a bit of time on their own. And if they've got any problems, you work it out. A lot of problems are worked out in those rooms over many a beer and many a late night.
So it was like a decompression session.
Yeah, without the compression.
Just a side question. Was there anyone not drinking at that time amongst the boys?
Yeah, there's a couple of non-drinkers. But, you know, they weren't alienated. They just come along for the ride. We never put any pressure on anyone to drink. There's no doubt about that. Okay. Maybe on a Saturday morning we'd drive Bruce Dool mad, you know, and keep him there for another hour or so just to keep the supporters hanging in. But no one's ever put under the pressure to drink. Yeah. But most of them did, and because you want to do because you train pretty hard actually.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about how they train today, the guys, but they haven't got a job. We had to go to do a job in those days, and then come to training. Like these guys are professionals. They haven't got a job. They train about 10 times a week, but not in the longevity. And I'm telling you something now, not the hardest we did either.
What was your job, Jimmy? What were you doing?
I was a meat export manager, but then I went and helped John Elliott run the brewery.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That was a good job. And I was in those days, I was in charge of setting up Grand Prix, the first Grand Prix. In Adelaide.
Unreal. What a gig.
And I set up the Melbourne Cup, Cups.
Wow.
It was a big gig, yeah. You know, and I was very, very heavily involved in that. And also that Battle of Britain, those games over there, when we went over there and played those 3 years in a row, and went over there and put those stupid games together over there. I'm very embarrassed, but you know, it was a good culture. We had fun in that, you know. And we had a lot of Carlton were a very powerful club in those days. They had powerful sponsors. But like when you got success, it brings power. You know what I mean? They want to be with you.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing about it. And that was their ritual. When as soon as I walked through the door of Carlton, you could smell success. You know, when I was 16 years of age, and I actually barracked for Richmond because I was in the Bendigo League, but you could smell the success down there, and it wasn't tolerated to run second. You know,
unreal.
If you did, you'd be replaced very quickly if you weren't pulling your weight.
Yeah. Did a few cases fall off the back of trucks at that brewery that you're working for?
Well, it didn't fall off, but there's many trucks I couldn't match up the number plates on.
Oh, then Jimmy,
it's one of the things you never ask questions about.
Don't know what you're talking about. Move on. Can you tell us then, Jimmy? So, can you pinpoint when drinking went from fun with the lads to drinking daily? Can you pinpoint that time?
Yeah, look, I've had a couple of bad sessions of that. You know, just boredom. You've got to be working, and I wasn't working at the time. And you come out of there and you're not prepared. If you're not prepared to come out of league football and have something to keep you busy, well, your mind wanders, and it doesn't wander in the right spot.
How old were you, Jimmy, when you?
I was 30 when I left Carlton, but I went straight to Ballarat and coached for 3 years up there. We had a wonderful side up there in North Ballarat, and we won 91. I was there. 91 we won, 92 we won, and 93 we won 49 games in a row and lost the 50th game and got beaten. So I resigned after that.
Enough.
It was my fault, actually. I'll tell you the story one day. Anyway, but look, we had a great. Then I came back to Melbourne because the opportunities of work went up there, and I came back here and I started doing a bit of work for Dick Pratt, and it was a wonderful, you know, contributor to the Carlton Football Club, and just a wonderful person himself with the Visi board, and because I was pretty well known in the meat game from early years, and they didn't have what would you say, a high class guy who knew all these guys and who owned meatworks. I knew about 5 meatworks, and we got them all together one day, and we signed up with $16 million of work in one afternoon, and
Wow.
You talk about a boozy afternoon. That was a boozy afternoon, but it was the deal was done. That's why you got to use the booze sometimes.
Yeah.
You just got to know when to turn off.
Yeah. So boredom was that was
Boredom was one of
trigger?
them, and then you get down and that bit of depression sets in that you don't know is there until it's too late, and then you're self-doubting yourself, and you get down on yourself, you get crook on yourself, and because you see the things that have passed probably through you, especially in my opinion, in my scenario, what I've missed out on, I didn't grab and benefit from it. So then you got to start looking at yourself again, and the beer become an out, and it's you get very selfish on the beer or on any alcohol. You just worry about yourself, and you don't give a stuff about anyone else. As I said in the interview, meetings, I'd say, "Oh, stuff it, I'll go tomorrow," but they didn't want to see you tomorrow, so you miss that opportunity, and those people just say to you at the end of the, well, you had your chance, which is fair enough. They just can't fit in with you all the time, but you don't care about that. It's only about how you worry about yourself and how the next beer you're going to go and how you feel in 2 hours' time. And then it gets to the stage where you're going home 3 parts pissed every night, and it's not a good scene for the kids. It's not a good scene for anyone or your partners.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a breakdown there.
Mm.
So it's a bit of a
Let's look at it. It's the same story that goes on of everyone, but it's just at a higher level,
It is quite a common theme that we're getting with folks that we've chatted to who've had addictions, that selfishness of just chasing the next high and nothing else matters.
Yeah.
And not having that with your boredom, like did you feel like you didn't have a purpose because you weren't working? And
you didn't have a purpose.
Escaping yourself.
That's right. You just, or you go back onto the booze because you feel good, or you're feeling better. You got a couple of mates down there you're talking to that are probably talking bullshit to you, but anyway, but you believe it at the time because it just gets into that frenzy that you, and commonly it continues every day of the week. But you don't see that.
Yeah.
You don't see that.
In that cycle.
Until it's too late.
So tell us then, Jimmy, did you want to stop drinking? Was there a point when you're in that cycle that you thought, shit, I really want to stop this? Or did it not sort of enter your mind?
No, look, in 2019, I was in the same sort of boat. I was pounding it pretty heavy, it's lunches and that continued into dinners and that type of stuff. In 2019, I had a break for 5 months. I never had a drink. That was. Then we went away on a trip up to the middle of Australia. 7 guys: Alex Jezelenko, Michael Green, a couple of doctors. It was a thing called Life Again with Michael. Gareth Andrews actually runs it. Life Again. I don't know if you heard of it.
No.
And a lot of, if you Google up and have a look at it, it's a thing where you go out in the outback and you stretch out to and they've got great contacts with the Aboriginal the landowners up there. And we went up on a private plane. We were just landing on a normal road out in the middle of Alice Springs or somewhere, and the Aboriginals would come and pick us up. It was a great trip, and we'd fly into a Birdsville pub.
Oh, yeah.
And fly into another pub down the road. You could get out the thing and you could just walk in and get a beer in 2 seconds. But I had started having a drink back then up in Birdsville. So, but I did have 5 months clean in there. So I knew I could do it, but it had got to a stage when Dylan had to come down and see me that I was in a pretty bad way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was above and beyond the call of duty to come and get me. And if he hadn't come and got me, I'd still be there.
We'll get to that, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Tell me though, were you going to always drink on that trip, or is it when you walked into that pub you thought, shit, I'm going to have a beer with the boys, or did you go into that trip thinking, nah, I'm going to stay sober?
No, I went there with probably the anticipation I would have a drink, and it was about 48 degrees up there, and I thought I better have one. So, but we didn't drink. I didn't drink heavy on the trip.
Okay.
I didn't drink heavy, but that was the start of.
Did it start that
back on the booze? Yeah, back on the booze. Yeah.
Did that ever enter your head to go, shit, if I have this drink, I could get back on that, cycle?
No, not really. Not really.
You thought you had control.
Yep.
Which we all do, don't we? We all think we've got control.
Yep.
Yeah.
on it.
The little beast just grips us again.
Yeah.
So you touched on it then, Jimmy, and we heard the conversation that your son Dylan spoke about on his podcast, Dylan Friends, about the conversation you guys had that was an absolute game changer, life-changing conversation. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. As usual, I was down my local haunt down in my mate Peter, and we're having a drink, and it was fairly full on for months and months of lunches, beer lunches, go all day to for as long as you can, and it was getting no good. And I had a partner at the time, Penny, and well, it was probably getting under her skin, which it was, and I think she contacted Dylan to let her know that I was out of control a bit, and Jess was having a baby at the time, my daughter, and we didn't want to. Well, we didn't want to know. Let Jess know what was happening because it's her first baby. So Dylan came and got me, and I went back to his place, and we had a bit of a chat and had a sleep, and got up the next day, and went. It was pretty hard because we went at it. I was sort of tonguing for a beer that next day. You know what I mean? I'm in the mode still, and he's saying you got to. We went and seen the Carlton doctor who then said I got a major problem. And he said, more or less said he doesn't think I can do it. Get off it. So, 1 out of 100 do it with how I was going. So I agreed to go into the Melbourne clinic. Dylan took me down there after 3 days, and it's probably one of the hardest things ever to do because he was driving me down there, and he was feeling shit, but he'd made it. He'd been strong to get me down there, and to his credit, we did it together, and we sat there before I went. I had a bit of I usually cry, but I'd cry at the right time, and we just reached out and had a massive cry together, and because I was going in there on my own. I said, look, it's not a good place to be, but the thing being is, if you got this problem, it's a place you've got to go to. And it was, I think it was about 13, 14 days. I stayed in there and close on to 3 weeks. You don't get much in there, you know what I mean? You get a psychiatrist come around and telling you about this. It's something that you probably already know. And I met a psychiatrist named John Perrick, who was very, very good to me, and he helped me fight the battle. And I stayed sober, and he he said, I think you're going out a bit early because I want to get out of the place, and obviously the longer they want you to stay, but in my terms, I'd had enough of it, and we walked out, and he thought, I'll see you in a couple of months, you'll be back, and well, I made it so far. So it's been 2 and a bit years.
Yeah.
So good. Proves you wrong.
And I haven't had one drink. I can tell you now, that's totally good. If I had one, look, there's a couple of times that I really got, I was down a bit and I really wanted to have a drink. And as I said, if I had had a drink, well, where would I be today?
Yeah.
But it's got a lot easier now since as I said, it doesn't worry me at all.
That's unreal, Jimmy. Well done. Congratulations, and well done to Dill for really hard conversations to have with a parent, and because he did speak about it on his podcast, and you kept it on the hush from your daughter and ex-wife, or Penny.
Yeah.
No,
Penny knew about it because she was had her head in there. But
just a quick question. Tell us, just a side question, Jimmy. Those couple of times that you've wanted to have a drink, what stopped you from doing that?
Well, I rang him, mate. I rang Jess's partner, Charlie, one day. I said, Charlie, I said, I'm in a bus. I said, I'm just, I don't know, I might have had a bit of pressure from somewhere out there. And so I'm just going to go up and have half a dozen. And he came running across it. And thank goodness he got there in time, because I would have, if I had to have half a dozen, it wouldn't have stopped there, you know that.
Yeah, blew the lid off it.
Did he rock up with a cape on?
No.
Okay.
Just a gun. Yeah, it was all good. He's a good man, but Well, I could see other guys why they, and they haven't probably got they probably haven't got the connections or the family that I've got around me where they can get back on they can break, because you got to have a lot of support.
Yeah.
And it's like I went to, for instance, I think I spoke in the paper the other day. I went to the big guy, his wake the other day, Barry Round. Like Barry was renowned as a massive drinker and great bloke, just a bloke who everyone wanted to have a beer with Barry and all that, And anyway, his body broke down and organs broke down, and he passed away. And they had a going away, a wake for him the other day, and there's probably 500 of the biggest drinkers in Melbourne there. All sportsmen from all types of walk, and it was a great tribute to Barry. And as I said, if you can go in there and not have a drink, like I got about 20 bucks offer me a drink in there, But the word's around now that I don't drink.
Yeah.
So it helps a bit.
If you find it easier that people know that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it helps it.
This might be getting a little bit personal, Jimmy, so you don't have to ask this question, but I'm sure Dylan has spoken about this before. What did he say to you? How did he approach it? And what were the words that actually made a difference?
He said, the conversation sort of went, like, Dad, you've got to get off the piss. It's not good. It's not good. You've been on it. He knows. He had it. I had a massive problem. It's been a social, cultural thing all my life. You know what I mean? And the kids would have seen it, but they haven't sort of said anything in their younger years. There's nothing violent or anything like that, or anything towards the kids. I adore them. I adore everyone. But sometimes you're just too loud and too far.
Yeah.
He just said, look. He said everyone's talking about you. He said everyone's worried about you. He said the kids are worried about. We can't let Jess know. He said, and Mum's with Jess. We don't want her to know. He said Penny and I have got, want you in here to go into this thing. And I said, mate, I'm not going in there. I'm not going. But after 3 days persuasion and respect for Dylan and the other people, I went in there because I knew I needed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I totally knew I needed it, but it's not as I said, it's not a nice place to go to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But look, he showed some real balls. Don't worry about that.
Amazing courage. Yeah.
Massive.
What was stopping you, Jimmy? What was, you were like straight up no? Was it your ego? Was it you knew it was bad? You didn't want to admit you had a problem? What were those things?
Well, one ego.
Yeah.
2, I knew I had a problem, and 3, I didn't know if I could beat it.
Yeah.
It was a terrible doubt there if I could go in there for 13 days and come out and not have a drink. Not many do it.
Yeah, I know.
I speak to John Perricker. I speak to John Perricker every month. The guy in there, psychiatrist, and he was very doubtful. That I could get through it. He's amazed, and as I said, he and I've got another doctor called who's been very, very good to me. A bloke called Evan Grambus, and Evan's had his own problems. You know what I mean? But he is a super doctor and he's been super to me, and if ever I've needed anything, he's always been there for me at the forefront. So people you can talk to when you're down a little bit, it helps, and that's why I feel so. I just hope we can get out and help some people from out of this. And I spoke of the thing at Castlemaine the other night. I just want to see if somebody can help some people, because a lot of people just haven't got the facility to do it. One, haven't got the people around them to help them, and don't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, and they got no idea how to really break the system and get off it.
Yeah.
And you're giving them hope. You're giving them.
Well, hopefully, I'm going around and do a bit of talking and trying to. I'm not going to save the world, but if you get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, I've had massive feedback from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know a few guys have really slowed down on their drinking. Amazing.
And that's a big thing that we talk about here, Jimmy, on the pod, is that most people have a complicated relationship with alcohol, but no one wants to talk about it because it's not sexy, like because alcohol is so romanticized and it's so normalized in our society. To admit you've got a problem with alcohol, but you putting it out there and your vulnerability and, your courage to share your story will absolutely help so many. So thank you so much. It's incredible.
No, pleasure. Look, it's a story that I think, I don't know if you read the article, but I think Ando, who wrote it, John Anderson, I think he wrote a pretty good article.
Yeah.
It wasn't not about tears or anything like that. It's about just trying to make yourself a better person if you can help someone. Because I've reaped plenty of awards from, playing football and out there and doing the right thing, and it's time to probably more or less grow up and be counted for. And I want to live a lot longer and see my grandkids and that. They're all coming now.
Yeah.
Because you love your family, that's what it's about. And Jess has got 2 beautiful kids, and Dylan and Jazz about to have one now.
Yeah.
So
Exciting.
couldn't get great times coming.
Yeah, some very special memories coming your way. So what happens then after? So it was an inpatient rehab, I'm assuming, the clinic that you were in.
Yeah.
What happens after you day 13 when you walk out? You've done 13 days. What happens then? How do you stay sober?
Just you got to find things to do and don't drink. Don't put yourself in that situation. It's no there's no ritual or a sheet to come out and say go do this, do that. But the biggest thing in anything, it's like with depression. I've had that shit too. It's no good. And you got to just keep yourself busy. You got to go to work and focus on work and give yourself the less time to be vulnerable. It's it's a shocking thing. That depression is one of the worst things because that's what you get with alcohol. They both go together.
Yeah.
And you've got to really focus on work and try and get back in the work mode and get things going. That's where we shouldn't have these facilities where people can go and see and look at. I know we've got Serena, Russo, and all this stuff and all this bang, 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 but there's another way to try and bridge the gap between when people are coming out of here into. You got to get them back in the workforce. Otherwise, they've got too much time sitting there, and your mind starts ticking over, and you start getting frustrated, and you say, "Well, hang on, I'm going down to the pub for a couple of beers to relax."
Yeah,
and that's what happens if you're not back into it.
Yeah, having that purpose, somewhere to be.
Yeah, you got to have a purpose to be somewhere. That's it, the purpose word, yeah.
And did you find in those early days, Jimmy, did you isolate yourself socially to avoid situations, or were you okay walking into situations?
No, straight away I was all right.
Good on you.
I was all right. They're all buying beers for me and leaving me at the bar. I said, I'm not drinking. They said, oh, that won't take you long.
Oh, geez, you were up against it. You were up against it, weren't you?
I reckon one day there I had about 7 beers lined up. I said, I'm not drinking it.
What a waste.
Don't worry, someone drank them.
Yeah.
Which is the perfect segue, actually, for the next question. What were people's responses when they found out you're an alcoholic?
Well, they're all just, how long?
Yeah,
right. How long? You won't last? I said, oh, well, how much you want to bet?
Wow.
I wish I had a bet. I would have got it 5,001, 10,001.
Are you that type of person, that competitiveness that goes, you say I can't do it, I'm going to do it? Like that kept you in the game as well?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it didn't worry me, but I knew I wasn't going to drink. You've got to be. If I was going to drink, I would have drank from nearly day one. I mean, once I got going on the roll, it's not a question of me having a drink now.
Yeah. Sorry, Reza.
I was going to say, did anyone ever question you being an alcoholic, going, "Oh no, I can't, Jimmy. You only have a few drinks." Like, did anyone question how bad your drinking was? As in, like they played it down to say, "No, you're not that bad, mate."
Yeah, that's just because they're an alcoholic.
Yeah,
I was drinking with alcoholics. You got to remember.
Yeah,
totally alcoholics.
And
you seem to gravitate together.
Yeah, you enable each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have those friendships drifted away now?
Some of them have.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
have, but not 9 out of 10 are still there. You know what I mean? I don't go to the pubs that much.
Yeah. When you removed the alcohol out of the clinic, did you start to feel really good, like that clarity? What were the first feelings you go, I actually feel really good?
Yeah. The biggest thing about that is you see you can see the ball better. You know, my analogy is you can see the ball.
I love that.
Your peripheral vision comes back. You can see what's coming.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
awesome
brilliant.
analogy.
Love that.
And, you know, you're a lot sharper because you haven't got 40 cans in your guts.
It's just nice to remember stuff, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, and you do remember things,
Yeah.
but your mind's ticking 100 mile an hour also because you just got to learn to slow down because you're going too hard, and that's the trouble. I was trying to do too many things, and you just got to, which I've always tried to do. I've had things going on everywhere. Where just focus on a couple and get them finished first.
Yeah. And do you love your sleep now? Do you just love
No,
your
I'm a
sleep?
shit out. I'm a terrible sleeper. I'm a terrible sleeper.
Oh, I feel for you.
I've always been a bad. Well, I used to sleep when I was playing footy.
Oh,
Really? After all that
3 or 4
exercise?
nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time, I take a sleeping tablet every night just to knock me, just to give me a sleep. You know what I mean? Only a low grade one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to bomb me out because my mind keeps ticking. You know what I mean?
Oh, you got one of those busy minds.
So busy.
Yeah.
Hard to slow it down.
So even after your article, which what was that, about a month ago, I reckon, in the Herald Sun?
Yep.
What was people's response? Because obviously some people would have been reading this for the first time, like even strangers. Did you get a, you know?
Yeah, look, I had the phone just went berserk. You know, some people, they got my number anyway, but
I didn't give it to anyone.
They do. They do get it, but no, look, the response. There was no. I haven't had any backlashes on it, which I thought you would have probably through Collingwood supporters might have or Richmond supporters. But no, look, it's been all of it was good, and from a lot of people, you know, reaching out, they've got problems themselves.
Yeah.
And I've already booked in to do a couple of things for some people and in mental health. You know, I don't want to get paid for it. I just want to help them out if I can.
Oh,
So
generous.
it's a bugger thing. Like I know Dylan's big into it, and it's massive out there, and it's sad to see. You know, like, and it's a lot of it. You know, you can see it I see it in league footy, and people don't want to. They don't want to talk about it. You know, I only found out one major thing to me that happened 20 years ago. I found out 3 weeks ago. You know what I mean? And it was a terrible thing that happened. I didn't realise, but see, people don't talk about it. They want to. It's too manly. It's not manly enough. If you know.
And there's I was about to say, there's something about someone of your generation talking about stuff that makes people compelled to then open up. So I think you're the perfect pin-up boy.
Well, they've been sitting there, and they're wanting to, but they haven't got the means or the know-how or the
permission even.
Well, the balls.
Yeah.
To do it. The balls to do it. And they only need a little tap on the shoulder, and next thing they open up, and a whole new world comes out to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They feel very, very alone, and with you having this conversation, they feel less alone because they feel.
Well, I've had a couple of guys since that, and really come their guts to me. You know, and it's revealing.
Brilliant.
And you know, and they say, "I don't tell anyone else." I said, "Well, you got to tell people, mate.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just drag it around on your back. It's like carrying a bag of spuds on your back."
Yeah.
You know, that's how I was. You can feel like a big rock coming off your head.
Yeah.
And because you haven't done anything wrong, or hopefully, you know, I've done plenty of things wrong. Don't worry about that. And people, you know, there's a couple that said, you know, this is all bullshit. You know, it's a charade, but that's only old girlfriends.
They've all come out of the woodwork.
But you know, the biggest thing, I didn't do it. I did it for my family one, and I did it for myself at the second. You know, and it's never been better for the kids, or the whole families. You know, fortunately, we lost a couple of my brothers in the last 18 months, lost my youngest brother the other day. You know, it's been terrible with it. Been going, and you know, he carried a bit of a burden around the same thing of alcoholism and that sort of stuff, and he didn't have anyone to really, you know, talk to it about. But that's the whole thing. It's about talking to people and the right people. You know.
Yeah.
You guys know you get them all the time probably, and it's you can talk to the wrong people and go nowhere, or you can talk to the right people and move on. You know.
Yeah, a whole new world opens up, which it sounds like you have. Like since removing booze, Jimmy, has your purpose in life changed? Like, what's life like now?
Yeah, look, I just want to get in and be successful. You know, I had before, but there's a lot out there. There's a lot more to go. The journey's only starting, and I've rebooted again. You know, and as I said, I'm seeing things quicker.
Love that.
I see them clearer.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing when people read this stuff, they give you a lot more respect. And the biggest thing they do, they give you time.
Yeah.
Time they wouldn't have give you before. When if I'd been on the piss and they know, you know, blokes I know, I can see the cycle. I've seen it come to me when I ring up for time now. Yeah, right. I book you in, no problem. 2 years ago when I was on the piss, they'd say, "Oh no, look, I don't want to talk to you about that." You know what I mean? Now they will.
Wholesome connections.
Oh, look, you know, it's just in getting through the right. I'll give you examples. It's right. If you're going out to sell something, you don't want to see the bloke as in door 3, but door 3's got to do his job. Don't get me wrong. I want to go to the boss because I'm cutting out all the woodwork, all the middle work.
Yeah.
And that's what. Otherwise, if you're knocking on that door, it's going to take you 12 months. I'm impatient, especially when I'm in this frame of mind. I want to see the boss first.
Yeah.
So before that, if you're on the piss and they knew you were out on lunch or something like that, they didn't want to see you. Now they want to see you. That whole thing changes now that they know you're focused.
Yeah.
They know I've got brains and know I can work things. They know I ain't got an angle on things.
Yeah.
They'll listen to you now because it's not because you're alcohol free. It's because they know that you're focused more.
Yeah.
And you've got something to give.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as I said, it does open up doors.
It does. We've definitely noticed
I've
that.
closed a few of them. Don't worry about that. After the period of
Slam
time.
those doors shut.
Yeah. Never to be open, something, but they're right.
I love this. So, Jimmy, in your experience, what's the number one thing that alcoholics need in their recovery?
They need friends.
Oh, connection.
Connection, friends.
Love.
People to talk to.
Yeah.
You know, alcoholics, a lot of them not ever going to, it's about containing your beer, you know what I mean? Containing your amount you take so that you still can perform there's everyone out there's half an alcoholic.
Oh, I was going to say, how do you contain?
It's just about containing what you don't get hammered like. I was getting hammered every second night, you know, every night. And didn't care about and putting work, as I said, putting work off. You just got to get to the level where you know you are and so you can perform and still got respect from everyone. You know, and you got to respect when you say you're working for people, they're paying you. You got to perform up in a proper manner to make sure that you're giving the best of your employee.
Yeah.
Even if your boss is a pisshead or something like that.
Do you think, Jimmy, you could ever go back to drinking in moderation, or is it just a hard no?
Oh, I can never say never, but you know, I've made a chill to myself that I'll never get back to the stage I was. Because you know, 2 years gone on, if I had been drinking like that, I wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have been here.
Jeez.
Not that my organs aren't bad, but it's just that it needed to reshape the whole facet of my life, you know, and that's why it just come at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, you say it come at the right time. It could have come earlier. It might never have come. But you know, I take my hat off to Dylan and you know, Penny and you know, they drove it into me and stuck by me. And as I said, we couldn't tell Jess and that, but Look, it's happened. I'm glad it's happened. And my goal is now to try and help some other people who have got this problem, because it's a shocking problem. You know?
Yeah.
And as I see it just doesn't lead to that one. It's not alcoholism. It leads to depression. It leads to a lot of other things down the track. And, you know, it all falls apart. It's like one of those earthquakes. Everything just falls apart around you if you can't control it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow moving train wreck. We actually chatted with Anthony Hammond. He's a publican of a couple of pubs in Melbourne, and he's been sober for a similar time with you, actually, Jimmy. And he's at that stage also now where he's ready to help people too.
He might have played footy with his dad, actually.
Actually, yeah, he might have played footy with his old man.
What's his name?
Michael Hammond.
Michael Hammond.
Michael Hammond. Oh, probably.
Who did he play for, mate?
Richmond.
Oh, was he
Did play for
Tigers?
Richmond?
Yeah, I think I know Michael Hammond. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, there's plenty out there. There's plenty out there.
Yeah. And I think what you're doing now is like stepping into that space where you are. I mean, you're already helping people, Jimmy, anyway. Like, even with that very public article in the Herald Sun, you help people straight out.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of response. There's a great lot of feedback. And, people want to talk to you again too, in the sense of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to you girls, because you girls already wanted to have a talk to me, no problem at all. But
You kept us hanging.
Yeah, I know I did. Well, how's I going to set this up at home? But
your son knows a thing or two.
Yeah, I know. He'd be charging me for this room too. While you're going.
Producing and get invoiced to Daddy-O.
I have to mow his lawns or something.
Getting back to the conversations that you have, Dylan, you were open to it also, Jimmy. Like you say that your friends and family were there and your kids, but you've got to give yourself some credit because you were open to receiving that information. Like you could have told Dylan to go and get fucked.
Yeah, well, I was halfway there. But anyway,
you were open to.
Because you don't think you're doing anything wrong, but you are.
Yeah.
You're messing up big time.
Yeah,
it's hard to own your shit, isn't it?
It is.
And then, because when you do that, then you've got.
I'm going to come up. One of my next. I target a few people. I'm coming up to see Brendan Baker shortly to have a good talk with him.
He'll love hearing that. He'll love it. He's got a few. If he's got a few gigs coming up, actually, there's a few big gigs that I think he'll be on the sauce a bit. So to get his ear. We're going to start wrapping our chat up, Jimmy, with a couple of little segments. The first one is rapid fire, so just a fun series of questions that we're going to throw at you.
Yep.
So, first one is you grew up in Kyneton. What did you do to keep warm? Possibly the coldest place on earth.
Oh, it's one of them. It's not far away. We went rabbiting. We went rabbiting on the week. We used to have 40 or 50 ferrets and go out rabbiting all week. That's how we got our pocket money.
I love ferrets. My dad had ferrets.
Oh, buddy.
In fact, he actually let them loose in his mate's car. It was the AFL Grand Final day. We're at our friends. I just remember I was only a kid. I remember leaving and Dad put these couple of ferrets in his mate's car and then off he went.
I'll tell you a quick funny story about ferrets. There's a bloke out the road here when I've been living at Research. And there's rabbits everywhere. I went out and I rang a mate of mine and said, I need a couple of ferrets. And he said, go out and see Mick out the road here at Whittlesea. So I go out and see Mick and he's out there and he's smoking a fag over the fence and he's dragging on his fag. I said, yeah, Mick? He said, yeah, I'm Mick. Anyway, didn't want to know me for a bar of soap. I said, Mick, I'm here to buy a couple of ferrets. He said, how many you want? This is true as I stand here. Anyway, I could send you the photos. Anyway, I go in there, there's an old house. The whole house is not dug out, and the floors are there, and he's got every room off. He had 600 ferrets.
Oh, no, the smell.
600 ferrets he had. Which ones do you want, he said. Anyway, he's still got them. I went out there the other day just to have a look at him, and he's still got them out there, and the roof blew off one of the things, and there was 300 ferrets running around this bloke's place. He was drying. The poor bastard was that mad. But Mick, so if Mick wants any ferrets, I've got to ring him, all right? He wants
They're
to
such
sell.
funny
That's
little
hilarious,
critters. They're
yeah.
such funny little critters, ferrets.
Aren't they?
All right, give us some dirt here, Jimmy. What are some of the sprays you used to give players on the field in the 80s?
Oh, I used to give. We were very. No one was better than anyone else in our side. You know what I mean? From the captain down to the ball boy or the boot starter. Everyone could have their opinion. We all respected it. If someone dropped the ball or did that, we used to spray him something chronic. Like McClure, you used to. Master said, "What did you drop that for?" Like it's cost us a goal. And next time they'll be so much pressure on themselves. But no, and McClure and Fitzpatrick, you're overeducated Rhodes Scholar. You can't even tell the time. He got caught for holding the ball for too long, Fitzy. It cost us a game.
So this is your own teammate. This is your own teammate.
Our own team. Oh, yeah. We give our teammates the best spray you've ever seen. And saying that, on a Tuesday night, the most dangerous place in Carlton was being on the training track, and we're playing man-to-man or playing match practice against each other because everyone else was after each other's spot. If they couldn't get that, they want to kill you. Very dangerous spot on a Tuesday night. You ask anyone.
Funny. How
That
funny.
is very funny.
And finally, I need your help, Jimmy. I've been tasked with painting a logo on the oval of my children's local oval. I was just wondering what type of paint would you suggest?
How big is I only do big ones.
And do I use house paint or?
Cool up
You
some
might as well
paints.
use, I'll tell you the best one that stays as long as gloss, full gloss. I put the wrong paint on the oval. Well, who cares? Anyway, it stuffed the grass up. It stuffed all the rooms up, all the carpet going up there.
This is in London. This is in London.
in London, yeah. Well, there's been never ever been signage put on the ground, and I was the first one to do it. Anyway, the girls from Curry's Brewery stuffed it up. I told them what to do. They never had the right paint, so I had to go down and get the full gloss.
I mean, good marketing for CUB because the logo sat on quite some time, didn't it? So they really got a bang for their buck.
6 months later, yeah, they had to dig it out.
Oh shit! That was courtesy of Brendan Baker, actually.
Yeah, no, John Elliott loved that story because he just loved it because he had it's after 6 months the chairman of the England cricket rang up me, Rowan Samaram, and he said, "Rowan, John," he said, "I think I got this problem I can't solve." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "This big F sign." He said, "I can't get it off the ground." He said, "India playing England in a test match." He said, "It's still there." I said, "You got your money's worth, Jack." Anyway,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Best
Yeah,
marketing campaign ever.
Jack said to him, he said, I think you got to dig it out.
Oh,
Anyway, I got that one over to him.
That's so good.
well done, well done. So our next little segment, Jimmy, is phone fuck up with a PH.
It's a phone fuck up with the PH. So we can give it F with the call or text. Phone fuck up with the PH.
So if you can think back to drinking days, was there anything that when you were on the source that you had a bit of a phone fuck up? So whether you've texted someone or you've called someone, I'm sure there's been many by the sounds of that.
I love that
Jesus.
response straight
Have
up.
please, phones. I can't
tell
remember
us.
a lot of them, but I've done a few of them. Don't worry about that. Plenty of them.
Are we talking about a phone call? Are we talking about text messages? What are we talking?
Phone calls. When do I say? What's one of them I did? I've done many of them.
You would have sprayed someone, wouldn't you?
Oh, terrible! Yeah, but I got on the piss with when we were over in London with David Carradine. He was a bloke who used to be kung fu.
Oh, right.
He was a bit young for you girls, a bit young for him. It was a favourite show. Kung Fu used to be on it. Everyone loved him. David Carradine. He's since died. He died the way that Michael Hutchin died too. So I got on the soup with him over in London at the Mayfair Inn. We went there for 4 nights because it gave ourselves a bit of an upgrade. That's one of the dearest place in London. I said, "Well, we're playing the brewery's paying. Let's do it."
Love it.
So I found him first night. We got on the piss. He didn't know where he was, and after he drank about 3 bottles of Jameson whiskey, he's talking about drinking this night. Anyway, Percy Jones was with me, and he used to walk. His thing was that he used to walk on the rice paper because he's so light. Well, I'll tell you one thing. He wasn't walking on the rice plate when I left him that night. He missed the movie and everything the next day.
Oh no!
But that's excuse me about the phone. Look, phone. I'll give you one big phone. One. I was in a room with Val Perovic, and we're renting. Late Mario bought a lotto. Kept ringing me. We had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to training, and he kept ringing and ringing and ringing. I said to Perry, if he keeps ringing one more time, I said, get the phone off the hook, because any damage, we're going to pay for the phone, everything in our room anyway. He kept ringing, and Perry said, oh, he won't ring again. I said, he will. And he won't. I'm trying to get some sleep. Anyway, next thing he rang again, so I picked the phone up and I smashed it into a million pieces on the floor.
Unleashed.
And then I couldn't get up in the morning, could I? Because the phone's not ready. So in comes the team manager, and he sees the phone in a million pieces. He said to Goffy, I said to Goffy, who's the team manager, he said to Perry, he said, what happened to the phone? He said, don't ask me, ask him. I said, it just fell off the thing. I said, have a look, there must be a weak phone over here anyway. It's just 4,000 pieces. They wanted to charge us £300. Anyway, I said it was Perry's fault at the end, and he wouldn't do it. But it took about phones. I had to pay £300 to get out of the joint for the phone was smashed. But text messages and that, look, there's been a million of them. You sit on them, and you sit on your phone sometimes and shoots a message off to someone that you don't want to see.
Bum dial.
Oh, yeah. Look, I can't think of the ones that... You should have given me a bit more lead up on this one. I would have done some shockers.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like we've all done it, especially when you're drinking alone, and then you've got your phone, which is your lifeline out to the outside world, and then you start getting busy on texting and social media. Like, gosh, yeah, start getting busy in people's DMs. So, yeah, I think the key message here is don't have your phone near you when you're drinking.
Yeah,
they're very look, they're brought down. The phones are brought down. Everything. They're that dangerous, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good, but there's also a lot of bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of great and save lives. Don't get me wrong, but they've wrecked a few marriages and all that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Nothing sacred, is it?
No, there's not. There's not.
It's time for the recommendation of the week.
I think the biggest thing that I can recommend to anyone, and we've had some tragedy in our family in the last 18 months. I lost two of the boys, and brothers you can't replace. I think you take your family for granted, and whatever comes of it, touch wood. There's a lot of families that blue. A lot of it's over money, but the biggest thing is that you got your family there. You got to reconnect with them if you haven't, and be part of and use each other's best parts of each other, to use each other to get back together and enjoy your family life and that. And I get so much fun out of the kids now, the grandkids and Dylan and Juz looking come out another baby, and all our family, the older family, we try and get together as much as we can now, because you run out of time. Oh. You're in the last quarter, you only get so much time, and the thing being is you got to make the best of the time, and that's what my thought is today, is to get back with your family and your friends, your real friends. There's friends and there's different friends, you know what I mean? And spend more time with them, enjoy each other's company, and make life worthwhile.
What a powerful recommendation.
Yeah, really powerful. What were your brothers' names?
Paul Beaver, that was his nickname. He was worked down the market in the market for a long time, the wholesale market, and Michael was he had Kyneton real estate up there in Kyneton. So
he's your little brother.
Yeah, the little brother, and Beaver was a little one, and Michael was the one up from me. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear this. May they?
Yeah, look, we all know everyone goes through this and that, but it knocks you around a bit.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have a coffee, alcohol-free drink. Cheers to your brothers.
Cheers. Thank you very much. No, they're good guys.
And to Barry Round as well, your friend.
Yeah, well, he wants something stronger. There's no one thing about Barry. No one wanted his liver.
May they all rest in peace.
They do. They're
Big
great
hugs and love to you.
absolutely.
Good on you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was great,
Great
Jan.
to catch up.
We really appreciate you coming on and telling your story and having the courage. And we know this is going to help even more people.
You're a legend.
Yeah,
we
thank
thank
you.
you so much,
problem.
Jimmy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This podcast is proudly produced by our audio engineer, music extraordinaire, Eric Ladd.
We love you, Eric.